It was unrest in Tibet earlier this year there, and the response to it, you'll recall, that sparked a wave of protest about China's record on human rights. And since March, when the Chinese government took journalists into Tibet, it's been all but impossible to visit the region. But tonight, Channel 4 News has obtained exclusive footage from a freelance journalist just back from Tibet, showing a massive security crackdown in the capital, Lhasa. There, Tibetans speak of mass arrests and disappearances before and during the Olympic Games in Beijing.
China's motto for these Olympics is one world, one dream. It's an event, they say, that's all about spreading harmony. These are the men spreading harmony in Lhasa, Tibet. There's been an unprecedented security crackdown, and we were told hundreds of Tibetans have recently disappeared at the hands of the security forces. It's images like this that China doesn't want the world to see, as they showcase a new China during these Olympics. It's not easy getting into Tibet, and since anti-China protests in March, foreign visitors have faced stringent restrictions. For China, Tibet is just another province, reached by a domestic flight.
I hope you enjoy your stay in Lhasa. Goodbye.
On the drive into Lhasa, China's Olympic message is everywhere. Even the military roadblocks carry the 5 rings. This banner reads, "Pride for the people and for the nation." But Tibetans told us China's Olympics have for them been one long nightmare. A nightmare, they say, that began back in March, when troops moved into Lhasa after anti-government protests.
You don't know how many Tibetan people died, surely.
How many did die?
No, we can say more than that, about that's 50 or 40 like this, which is we heard it from some of friends, like that. But government didn't tell anything about this.
What happened to those people that were killed? Where are they? What happened to the bodies?
So for the body, mainly the government has been hiding the body, and they just make cremate. But the government, they just pick all the remains very quickly. So even the family, they cannot know where they was, where they went,
We were unable to independently verify any of these claims. Our contact, who must remain anonymous for his own security, says there has been a series of mass arrests prior to and during the Olympics.
More than 1,000 people has been arrested. We have almost about 4 or 5 jail in Lhasa region, but it's all full. So now the government just ordered to every Tibetan people, in this month and in this 1 month before, in these 2 months of something which happened in Tibet, they will really make trouble, big trouble for this family or this man, All the army can kill them, just directly kill you like that, Everywhere, every corner, there's a lot of the police, there's a lot of army with guns, So that's why you see every Tibetan people are very scary.
Around the Tibetan market area in the centre of Lhasa, soldiers have even set up sniper positions on the rooftops of homes. The streets all around have been saturated with soldiers and police. In such an atmosphere, Tibetans have turned their backs on the Olympics. They're troubled by the national fervour China has whipped up around the Games.
So you like to watch Olympics?
No.
Why?
I don't know.
Are you happy China wins so many medals?
I can't see.
They were clearly nervous to speak openly. At that moment, Tibetans scurried past, ahead of another Chinese army patrol.
When we see from the TV, the China got a lot of medals and like this, So this is a very upset for Tibetan peoples,
Why?
You see, it means the China getting stronger.
Most Tibetans are devout Buddhists, but few monks who were at the vanguard of protests in March are now seen around Lhasa's sacred sites, where hundreds come to spin the prayer wheels. Monks accused by Beijing of being involved in recent attacks against Han Chinese have almost vanished from view, their whereabouts a mystery. Several monasteries around Lhasa remain off-limits, including the 15th century Drepung monastery on the other side of this mountain. We were told that several hundred monks may have been arrested, and those left behind are deeply disturbed by the crackdown.
No, not happy.
Not happy? Why?
To people. Not happy.
Any problems for you?
Oh, no, Chinese soldier.
Everywhere, huh?
He confirmed that monks had been arrested.
Many soldier.
Glancing around nervously, he intimated that the monasteries had been infiltrated and that we were being closely watched.
Change clothes.
They're watching you?
Just no.
Do they watch you? They watch you? All the days?
Yes.
What do they say to you? Are you safe? Safe?
Not free to say.
Not free to say?
But Han Chinese tourists being bussed into Lhasa in their thousands in state-organised tours are free to come and go as they please. Here a group are being taken around the Dalai Lama's former palace. The guide gives China's version of its history. The Chinese insist Tibetans have prospered under their rule, insisting Potala Palace was liberated from Tibet's oppressive medieval theocracy. With riot police now patrolling the perimeter walls, the Dalai Lama says such strong-arm methods shows that China rules through terror, accusing Beijing of cultural genocide. Despite restrictions, we discreetly grab some shots of the Dalai Lama's empty throne, where devout Tibetan Buddhists come to pray and display their devotion. No wonder China doesn't want anyone to see this. We wanted to go to eastern Tibet, but the Dalai Lama says there's been a clampdown in recent days, but it was impossible to get travel permits. We headed west and visited a farmer in a traditional community. She told us Tibetan farmers in her area have benefited from government subsidies, but some wonder if the Chinese are trying to buy their loyalty. If they are, it may not be working. Before the Olympics, a Chinese official came here and told us to buy a Chinese flag and put it on our roof, but I took it down after the first day. Visiting monasteries in the area, we met monks who also feel the long arm of Chinese rule. We need permission now for whatever we want to do, this monk told us, and that's only granted through the main office, which is controlled by the Chinese. They've even put a police station in our monastery. An official banner outside this monastery says we welcome the Beijing Olympics in building up this harmonious temple. For many Tibetans, though, the Olympics, far from bringing harmony, have reinforced fears that their unique culture and way of life is being overrun by an increasingly powerful China and the immigrants who continue to pour in here. Tibet's monks, often symbols of resistance to Chinese rule, may still manage a smile, but many fear the future and the uncertain road ahead.
Well, we contacted the Chinese embassy for a response to that report, and they gave us the following statement. They say, it is well known that there was violence in March in Lhasa in Tibet and that monks were involved in attacks on ordinary people. Now the situation has been restored to normal. During the Beijing Olympics, the security measures you can see there are normal all over the country. We would presume that in 2012 in London, the British authorities would take similar security measures. In the past 2 weeks, China has suffered violent attacks and in some places, and we will continue to take security measures in areas including Tibet to ensure they don't happen again. The statement continues. Time and again, the so-called government in exile of Tibet and the Free Tibet movement has used different figures to explain how many Tibetans were shot dead in March, and we did investigate these claims and found them to be false. They need to give hard evidence rather than plucking different numbers, which give people a false impression. Well, more news from the Games themselves a little later on from here in Beijing, but for now, back to Krish for the rest. And there is normal. Now, as you know, the Chinese government designated 3 Beijing parks as protest zones during these Olympics, but 2 elderly women have been sentenced to a year each of re-education through labour after their application to protest was turned down 5 times. Despite both being nearly 80, they've been threatened